Welcome to the TechHub.training Craig's Transactions Challenge solution video. Let's get started with a quick overview. This QuickBooks uses a sandbox called Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. So essentially how this sandbox works is that there's already auto-populated numbers within there. So you need to be aware of that, and we'll be focusing on doing transactions in the year 2022 because in 2023 and on, there's already auto-populated numbers. And by doing the transactions in 2022, it's kind of a neutral environment that allows you to make the transactions without issues. So you'll have to import data files, record 5 different transactions, from preparing journal entries to making credit sales, preparing purchase orders, collecting on accounts receivable, and making adjusting entries for a fixed asset that you purchase at the beginning of the year. And then finally, you will create reports. So at the beginning, when you are importing the data files, this is the main screen of what QuickBooks looks like. And you'll go over to the gear at the top and you will click on import data. And from there, you should be able to browse and upload the customers, vendors, and products files, inventory file, and that will allow you to have all of these available as you go through the transactions, and it will auto-populate information that you need. And again, this is another screenshot. As long as it shows the map data and all of these checked, then you should be good to go and import them without problem. And you just repeat this process for all of those.
Okay, so the first transaction we're going to be doing is preparing a journal entry. Now, to get to the journal entry screen, you just click on the plus sign that says new, and then go to the journal entry section under other. Click on that and you'll be redirected to this interface right here. This is what the journal entry interface looks like. For this journal entry, we're going to date it for the 1st of January 2022. You shouldn't have to touch the journal number, that'll auto-populate. And we're purchasing a fixed asset. We don't have a fixed asset account in the sandbox QuickBooks, so we're going to put this under uncategorized asset. We'll debit it for 10,000, and the description is X5000 popcorn machine, because that's what we're buying. We're paying for it with cash, so the credit will be our checking account, and we'll credit that for 10,000. And again, the description will remain the same. And when you're finished putting this information in, you'll go to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, click on the arrow next to Save and New, and click Save and Close. The next transaction is making a credit sale. So again, we'll go back to our main menu and click on the plus sign that says New. Click on Invoice under Customers, and you'll be taken to this screen, the Invoice screen. Now, this purchase is from our customer, Cassie Budd. So the first thing you're going to change is up in the top left-hand corner. You'll click that drop down and find Cassie Budd. No need to enter a customer email. The billing address will auto-populate. That address is stored with the customer's information. The terms, we need to select net 30. Now this transaction, the payment terms are 2%, 10, net 30. Instead of creating that specific term, which we can do in QuickBooks, we're just going to deal with that 2% later when we receive the payment. Next thing you're going to change is the invoice date. You'll change that to December 25th, the date of the transaction. The due date will auto-populate because we've already entered our terms. Now, all you'll do is enter those 4 line items. In the instructions, we have what these products are that we're selling. So you'll enter the product, service, the description, and then you'll change the quantity. The rate should already be in QuickBooks with the product, so no need to change that. And when you enter all this information in, at the bottom right-hand corner, the subtotal should equal $695. You can just go ahead and save that and move on to the next transaction.
Next, we must prepare 3 different purchase orders, and we have to prepare 3 because we are getting inventory from 3 different vendors. So to do this, we go back to our little plus new button and then hit purchase order. This takes you to a purchase order form where you will fill out the vendor and then their email, their mailing address, and their shipping address will all auto-populate. Make sure you get the correct purchase order date and then fill in the appropriate inventory codes and then also the quantity. That should be all that you need to change, and then you can hit save and new because you're going to do this 2 more times. And just make sure everything looks correct. You're going to follow the same process. So here's that last purchase order. Again, making sure that the quantity and the product service is correct, and also the purchase order date. Then we get to receive payment from Cassie Bud. So we're going to collect an accounts receivable. Here we're going to go to the left dashboard and go to sales and then click on all sales. And here we will find our customer Cassie Bud. So you have to scroll down to find her, then click on Cassie Bud and hit edit invoice here on the bottom right. This will take you back to the invoice that we already created, and you're going to just adjust it for that 2% discount. So you go to the little discount percent down on the bottom right where it has the balance and have 2% there, which should get you to the correct amount of $681.10. Then you just hit save and go back to our left dashboard, hit new and receive payment. When we do receive the payment, it is through an ACH transfer. So that payment method is not currently in the sandbox, which means we have to create it. So you can just hit add new and type in ACH, and then it'll pop up there and you can select it. The only things to check out for here are, again, that you have Cassie Bud as your customer, the payment date is correct, you have your payment method, and it's depositing to checking, and then select the appropriate invoice by checking that little box on the left of the invoice and all of that description. Then you can save and close.
The last transaction we have is to prepare a general journal entry for depreciation expense on the X5000 popcorn machine we bought earlier this year. So how we do that is we're gonna go to QuickBooks on the main screen, and you're gonna hit the add new or the plus new button at the top left, and then under the other column, you're gonna click on journal entry. This will bring up a screen, and here we're gonna add the account depreciation, but we're also going to have to add the accumulated depreciation count. So after we type it in, there will be a button that says plus add new accumulated depreciation account. If you click on that, that will lead you to a screen that looks like this. On the account type, we're going to change that to fixed assets. So just on the drop down there. And then in detail type, you're going to change that to accumulated depreciation. And then change that name to make sure it says accumulated depreciation. And then you will save and close that. Once you save and close that, if we remember from the beginning of the problem, we bought this popcorn machine for $10,000 and it has a 5-year life. So that leads to $2,000 depreciation for this year. So we'll record that in the debit and the credit columns. And finally, we will add our description to record the depreciation expense for the X5000 popcorn machine. And then we'll save and close that. After we've done all the transactions, the last step in this project is to run a report. And on the left side, we'll click on reports. And then an easy way to find this report is just typing in trial balance in the search bar on the right side. After we have that, we'll change the dates to custom and get to the year 2022, where we'll have from January 1st to December 31st. We'll do totals only and make sure to change it to active rows and columns with their accrual. Click the button that says run report, and it should look similar to this, getting a total of $19,248.90.